Hi friends, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Caroline. I like to do knitting and crocheting videos on my channel, and today I've got something a little bit different, but don't worry, it's still knitting related. So last year, for the very first time, I decided to keep a knitting journal, and I really liked it, so I figured I would show you my 2025 knitting journal setup to maybe inspire some of you to start your own. So the first page is my 2025 cover page, which is also my 2025 recap page. So for now, this page is very simple, but at the end of the year, I will come back to this and I will fill in all of my statistics. This includes how much projects did I make, how many of those projects were knitting, and how many of those projects were crochet. Maybe how much yarn I've used in total, what the weight and fiber contributions are, for example, all those kind of things. Then the next couple of pages are all dedicated to all of my projects. For these pages, I cut off about an inch or so from the top of the page, so you can see the header from the pages after. On these same pages, I drew out 9 identical sized boxes, which I will later fill out with pictures of my finished objects. So last year I drew everything out by hand. That was because I did not own a printer, and luckily I own a printer now. So I will just print out the photos that I make of my finished objects and put them on this spread so I could have a very nice glance at all of my projects of 2025 at once. The next page serves the same purpose, except it is a list with all of the information about the patterns. So I would put a picture in the previous pages, and then on this page I can put which pattern I used, the yarn details, how much gram I used, when I started the project, when I finished it, if it is knitting or crocheting, so I can keep track of that for my statistics, and which size I made the pattern in. Then I have a project planner page. This is a very simple page. It's blank for now, but this is where I will link patterns to yarn that I have, and just plan out my projects. Then on the page previous to the project planner page, I've got a year at a glance monthly overview. So this is where I track most of my stats. So how many finished projects I have per month, how many grams I get out of my stash, how many grams are going into my stash, how many WIPs I have at the moment, the grams that remain after the month, and then how many skeins that is. And then this year I added the row for sub tracking as well. So this is just a row that's nice if you have knitting social media, and then you can see how much growth you have over the year. Next up are one of my favorite pages, the pages where I track my yarn usage. So on this page I write down which yarn I've used, from what brand, how much grams of this yarn I've used, the color, the weight, and the fiber content. So these last 3 are very exciting and are important for my end of the year stats, and hopefully they will give me a bit more insight in what kind of yarn I like to use and give me more guidance on yarn buying in the future. Last year I only set up one of the yarn out of stash pages, but that was not enough. It only took care of half of the year, so I set up 2, and honestly I might have to set up more throughout the year, but I think for now 2 is okay. Then I continued to basically set up the same entire spread on the next page, but for my yarn in stash. So this is for all the new yarn I acquire. This was only 1 page because I'm not planning on acquiring a lot of yarn. And then we've arrived at my last setup page, and maybe even my most useful one, which is a page for memory aids. So as a knitter, there are just a lot of things you need to remember, and some of these things I've done so many times that I probably should remember, but I just can't get them into my head. So this is what I wrote down on this page, so I can very easily find it whenever I need it. So this includes the yarn weights and how much meterage are in 100 grams, and what the weights become when you hold them double, the instructions for Kitchener stitch, and what to do if you have a higher gauge and what to do if your gauge is lower than the recommended gauge. So these are just a few memory aids that I thought of right now. Maybe I'll end up adding some more over the year, but for now this is it. So this is my 2025 knitting journal setup. I hope you found this video entertaining and maybe it was helpful for you. If you are also someone who keeps track of a knitting journal, feel free to let me know what you keep track of and what kind of pages you add to your journal. And with that, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe, maybe follow me on Instagram if you want to see more of me. And without further ado, I will leave you with a flip through of the final products.